I started playing drums when I was 5 years old. Then I picked up guitar at 12. In college, I was a music major and playing in these fusion bands and all this stuff. And then all of a sudden I start realizing I ain't getting no work. They wanted to hear Foreigner, kick, snare, kick, snare, kick, snare. You know, those are the bands that were working. So I, got on that trail. I was in a million bands. I don't know if you remember the band Alias. I did drums for 3 or 4 songs on that. I did one record with A Flock of Seagulls, did one tour with them, and spent I don't know how many years just playing in bands that sounded like what was happening on the radio. And I slowed myself down doing that. A million points of light. Never gets old, never gets old. Turn my wrong to right before I get old, before I get old. I started a bad think by trying everything out. I had these ideas that I was kind of working on, and so I just started laying some ideas down, and it kind of started moving into, well, okay, here comes another song, here comes another one, and that's what kind of snowballed the kind of whole thing. I wound up into the first Bad Think album, which is self-titled. Since then, I think the Savior, which was nominated for a Grammy this year, which I was very excited about that, is the 8th or 9th. It always ends the same. My lyric book is kind of the map that has gotten me from nothing to having these albums done. This is kind of the blueprint for, and some of this, there's some pretty disturbing pictures in here.
This is my studio, The Barn. This is my West Coast one here in Malibu. I mean, it's not very big. I mean, there's my control room here. There's my studio there. It's perfect size for me. It's really nice, though, because all this wood, all this grade wood you see on the deck and all this stuff was all reclaimed from the Hollywood Bowl. So you can see the seat numbers. All the inside is built out with the old Hollywood Bowl, wood after, sucking up Dean Martin and Jimi Hendrix. And I do it all here. I do loop recording, my levels are set. Everything is set, so I just turn it up, turn it on, arm the input, and away I go.
What I do is I record everything by myself. So my vocal mic looks out a floor-to-ceiling kind of window that looks out at the mountains. So when I'm singing or doing acoustic guitar tracks or anything like that, I'm looking out at this huge expanse of the Santa Monica Mountains, and it's breathtaking. If you can't get inspired with that, there's something wrong. And look in the sky. Finally had a night. You break on his heart all over. I have 30 songs written for the new album already. And Dave Way and I have already gone through and picked 12.
Michael and I actually met at a mutual friend's party. I think it was a birthday party. Sometimes you meet people at a party and, they say, oh, yeah, I make records and make music. But in this case, it was like, wow. Turned out we had a lot of mutual friends from the studio scene in Virginia, which there wasn't much of one until Teddy Riley moved down there. And then all of a sudden that kind of blossomed into this, guys like Timbaland and the Neptunes. And Michael was right there you know, in the heart of it right then as it started to take off. Became good friends after that. Now this is the third album we've worked on.
A man's always possessed when it hurts. All over. It looks like he's down now. An old-fashioned beat down always hurts. All over. Yeah, he's just too far gone.
That got us into this immersive audio side of making records and mixing records. Bob Clearmountain on The Savior did an amazing 5.1 mix. When we kind of heard it in that format, we decided, well, okay, this next record, we really got to kind of go to town with that in mind from the beginning.
Insane. I didn't even see the head on the walk-in.
47s,
Oh my Lord. Oh, right behind the ears. That's so cool.
the C37s in the corners.
A Bad Think is me. They're my songs. I play most everything on there, but I always get other people to play on it, like a bass player. And this new album, we're gonna have a real drummer on it.
Because Michael is a drummer, he's a fantastic drummer, he's able to program drums exactly as he would play them. And then on this record, he wanted to not play the drums, not program them, and we wanted to hire some drummers.
Dave Way thought, well, Jeremy Stacey, who is from London, England, and the drummer for King Crimson, was going to be going through LA, and he would be perfect for it.
We booked a week at Henson, booked Jeremy Stacey and his busy schedule, and Sean Hurley, and we did bass and drum overdubs to those basic tracks that Michael had laid out.
Dave had sent me the material in advance so I could listen to it, make some charts, and I thought I was going to be walking into like a 17-year-old's first album. It felt like I was meeting somebody who'd been writing, you know, years of diary entries that they were now going to be bringing to life with music.
And so it's important for me to stop, you know, and not just finish. I can just finish the songs out.
So it seems.
For the early ones, that's kind of normally how I've done it. But so this is a new process, you know, especially in the whole recording the thing from the ground up in a immersive audio environment with all these 3D microphones and you know, having two drummers going on at the same time, all in a giant room. And so we're really kind of pushing the envelope on all that kind of stuff to really make the listening experience more of a 3D experience instead of just left and right, you know, stereo.
Ear candy, I guess you would call it. There's a lot of tracks, and we're pushing the limits as far as what we're able to play back, actually. But we also wanted to have things be able to enter in certain speakers, whatever they might be. It would switch, and the drums would go maybe from being in the front to being in the back or being in the sides.
Yeah, it's true. We could just take pieces of it and put it, yeah.
The idea is like it's handing off to another part that will appear in another part of your 360 audio sphere. We've relayed that idea to all the musicians to engage their ideas as far as how to treat things. Jeremy is insane when it comes to drums.
What do you mean, Dave?
I think my explanation needs no explanation. We had 13 songs that we tracked at Henson. Then we'd come back here, edit them a little bit, choose final takes, what was the best drum and bass takes, and then got into guitars next.
The clothes you wore are coming back again. The old is new and back in style. No one knows just when it's a sign of the time.
So we had Fernando Perdomo, who was on The Savior, come in again and do his magic.
The songwriting is really, really strong. So without all the bells and whistles, these songs are still stand up on their own, even if it was just Michael playing an acoustic guitar.
Fernando Perdomo does a lot of guitar, and he did a lot of guitar on the last record, and he's a great guy, and he's one of those guys that just kind of vibes everything right away. He'll start monkeying with his pedals and all that kind of stuff, and then then he gets a part, yeah, that's cool, okay, then we lay that down, and we just kind of work our way through the songs.
These are the best songs to try to do that on because he leaves a lot of room for that, even though the lyrics are spectacular and the melodies are spectacular.
We brought in a new player here that I introduced Michael to named Kirk Hellie.
Kirk Hellie is another incredible guitar player. He had charts, he had everything worked out exactly what he wanted to do.
The work of just crafting a great song, Michael already did. I think it's really great classic songwriting, and you know, it's rock, but it's cinematic in a lot of places. I think that's what probably struck me first about the record, is just how great the songs were.
Keep playing, Sean. Yeah, it's because it's coming out somewhere else.
Yeah, okay.
All right, what is this?
I'm Phil Shenale. I'm keyboardist on Michael's newest record. Welcome to my workshop.
After we've edited Fernando and Kirk's kind of stuff to our liking, we'll send it off to Phil Shenale, who is a master, and he's got his own studio set up with crazy keyboards, and it's his magic workshop. And we just let him do as he pleases.
I'll add pieces like ostinato pieces, or, you know, synth pad or movement or melody, internal melody. And all of this not to get in the way of anything, but in order to enhance and to weave between things.
It's coming apart at the seams. Dangerous currents slide just underneath. Still
Michael's music is a great vehicle to experiment in and end up with something that doesn't sound experimental. It sounds very natural and comfortable. The way he sings through tracks, because sometimes he makes very simple songs, sometimes he makes songs which have this, let's say something the unexpected comes in. But the way he sings and the lyrics make the unexpected parts completely join up.
Facing the crowd, smiling behind your back. Look around, you might see a roll of the dice improves your chances of coming apart at the seams.
In order to do immersive audio, you have to have something that moves through space. And you have to grab onto something. The mixer has to grab onto something to move it through. So, you know, so you have dynamics involved in terms of three-dimensional space you're working in. besides just having an ambient reverbish thing going on. So when I heard it, I was really blown out. I mean, they had mixed it, and it was just phenomenal. It was, I mean, really, I've never been a fan of that because I've never heard anything that really sounded, you know, like, 5.1 or whatever, or back in the early days, quad. You know, none of it really made any sense to me, but this really did.
Bob Clearmountain's doing the mix on this record as well, and he'll be doing the surround sound, and then Dave Way and Steve Genewick at Capitol are going to do the Atmos mix. So we're doing Atmos versions of all this stuff as well.
Here we are in our Pro Tools environment, mixing for Atmos with Pro Tools because Atmos is embedded into the Pro Tools system. So a lot of the tools that we use in stereo, we also use in Atmos. But we have a little bit more control. So instead of just putting things left and right, we can move stuff around in the Atmos world. We can see, you know, I can take stuff and move it back and forth. I can move it up and down. Atmos is what we call object-based mixing. I can assign anything to that object, and you can see, and then we can either place them in the room or move them around the room. So this is a representation. This is the Dolby Atmos renderer, and what we're seeing here is each little ball is an object. So we can see where in the room it is and which object it is, and then we can see them moving around when they start. There's a couple things that are going up into the ceiling. It used to be in 5.1, we had left, center, right, left surround, right surround. If you had 7.1, you had speakers on the side. In Atmos, I try not to think about where the speakers are. I'm never putting anything in the left speaker or the side speaker. I'm just taking that object and putting it over there, because your Atmos system might not have side speakers. But the system, when it plays it back at your studio, your house, whatever it is, it just knows that that object has to go over there. So it finds a way to get it over there in the confines of the playback system that it's in. This room is very elaborate. Again, there's 20 speakers in here, so it's a more accurate listening environment. But if you were to take half those speakers away, it should sound exactly the same. That's kind of the basics of Atmos in 5 minutes.
I'm learning stuff.
That was great.
It's pretty exciting.
Good? Yeah.
All right, here we go.
When I first met Michael, I had no idea what kind of music he was making, and then he showed me some of the videos from his previous records, and I was like, wow, this is like really serious material.
A lot of my music is very cinematic, and it really gets the point across, and I think it really helps the awareness of the music. You know, nobody listens to radio, so I think it's really a great way to get people to hear your music and to understand kind of where you're coming from. It's an important part of it. Plus, they're fun to do. You know, it's really great because Derrick and I kind of are cut from the same piece as well, and we're always searching and looking deeper, and you know, how can we say something without saying anything? And, you know, we've been doing this for a long time. You know, we've probably done, I don't know, 8 videos. I don't even know how many we've done. And, but it's nice because Derrick gets the songs, he listens to them, and, you know, he's another, you know, different point of view that he's listening to it like Dave Way does. And he goes, well, I like this. These are the ones that are kind of floating to the top. Then Derrick and I will kind of get together, and he asks me, well, what's the song about? And so we start talking about it. And then he'll go, well, what if we did something like that? And I go, well, that would work because that's kind of what this part means. You know, then we have this kind of, we go back and forth, and we kind of develop this storyboard kind of thing of how it can kind of go. That's really a fun process too, because he starts here, I start here, and by the time that we have a finished idea and a finished project, you know, ready to shoot, it's really kind of taken on a whole new life by itself. I mean, we have some video concepts for some of the songs that didn't make the cut that I still think are fantastic.
See that thing where you just look down a little bit, Michael?
All right, let's cut it, Austin.
I just love making records. I'm thankful that I get to do it every day. And this one in particular is just really exciting for me because of the Atmos and the immersive aspect of it from the beginning.
This is music that's got no limit. This is music that's sonically unhinged.
His songwriting has taken a much more direct approach.
What makes A Bad Think really cool is that after you listen, you're like, wow, that was a rush, but I really want to hear that song again.
It's kind of like he's gone another step in terms of being focused and being present and pushing the track forward with the narrative.
I feel like the arc of the songs, because I'm catching Michael's wavelength and the narrative and the whole concept of A Bad Think, I feel like the arc of each song is just really inviting. It's kind of surrounds you, it takes you on a journey.
Knowing that it would be heard in a different way and probably heard even better in this way, you know, I can't wait to hear the finished product.
To me, just the sonics and the way it's going to be listened to is like a thrill of a lifetime.
And I'm kind of hoping in this Atmos journey we're on that all artists will start thinking that way. And from the composition point and composing music with this in mind.
We're just gonna go to town and make this the best immersive experience we can with Michael's music.
I make music because I have to, and when it actually connects with somebody, it makes it, even if it's one person, you know, you hope people get your music and like it and love it, but
I'm afraid if I stop, that craft kind of goes away, you know, if you stop singing or stop playing or stop songwriting. You know, those are skills that you need to kind of keep them going, so I keep working.
It's too far gone. It looks like he's too far